Good day, friends. I come to you with a massive bedhead that just is not going to go away. I don't really have much of anything to say. I'm trying out the YouTube's record feature, and I look so tired. I am so tired. I have no makeup on except for that which is left over from yesterday, and a bit of tinted lip gloss. Um, But that's okay. If you were to come to my home right now to come and sit and have a Coke with me, this is what you'd be looking at. It's not too bad. I got on my nice little witchy necklace, and, it's me. Um, Bad skin and all. It's getting better. Actually, it's clearing up. A lot of what I have left are just kind of scars that need to lighten up a little bit. I went through many, many years of very, very bad skin and patches all over my body, certain really specific areas, like my shins and the tops of my feet, my forearms and tops of my hand, my back, my behind, my chest, and my face, like along the jaw and the chin. And I kept asking doctors to help me with it because it was not like regular acne. It was like it would feel like I had been stung by a red ant, basically. If any of you have ever been stung by a red ant, it's miserable. It's horrible. It hurts so bad. And it would be like a sting and intense itching and burning and just horrible. And although doctors were completely disinterested in helping me figure it out, I figured it out myself eventually after I had my gallbladder removed. And it was bile in my skin, which is why it felt like a stinging. I guess it was corroding, what it was corroding, but people that have liver and gallbladder problems will have sometimes this disorder where bile overflows into their bloodstream, and it's carried around their body and deposits in the skin, where in those areas it causes all this problem. So I am like permanently scarred on my body from it. And it's down to just a little incident here and there. I also get it on my scalp. And it's a lot better, though. It's nice to finally see my skin kind of clearing up and looking a little bit more like a normal person. I started using some tea tree oil. I had used it before when I had a piercing done because tea tree oil is very popular with piercers generally, and people get piercings. And I know a lot of people say don't put it on straight, but that seems to be the only way it really helps me. But when that was attractive, my loosey-goosey skin, weight loss, and old age. It's not been kind. Oh, well. When I got my nose pierced, actually, many, 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 many moons ago, they told me to put tea tree oil on it. I went and got some, and it made my piercing so red and inflamed. I seemed to almost have an allergic reaction to it. It may be because I put it on straight. Perhaps I should have diluted it a little bit. But all the, like my cousin who's a piercer and stuff, they all told me, get tea tree oil and put on it. And I had such a negative reaction to it that I never used it again. I had an aversion to the smell of it as well, which I still kind of do. I'm not real fond of the scent, but I've gotten a little bit used to it. But I think it's really doing a good job of helping me clear up a little bit. And I could hide it all a lot better with a little bit of makeup. And that's the way to go. What else? I don't know. I'm still waiting on autumn. We had cool weather predicted for this week, and then, I don't know, it fricked off. It went away. It went somewhere else. Left us kind of muggy and gross. So I'm still waiting on window weather. This week is the Bikes, Blues, and Barbecue Bike Rally Festival thingamajig here in Fayetteville, Arkansas. And the first few years I thought it was really nifty, and go down there and meet interesting people from all over the world and see some cool custom bikes and all of that. Sorry, I had to adjust a little. Uh, and it was really cool, but then very quickly, like even after the first year, it became so well known and so popular that just like tens of thousands of people invading our quiet little mountain college town, and people here are polite and clean and good to each other and mind their own business, pretty much. And then we get these people coming in here who think that this is just a town to party and to piss on everything outside and to get drunk and run through the streets and cause accidents. And a friend of mine was almost killed a few years ago. I think it was 6 years ago. She almost died. They were pronouncing her dead at the emergency room because some idiot biker, drunk, and thinking that this was the place to come to just act wild and like an idiot, ran into her. She was also on a bike with a friend and threw her, I don't know, 30 feet into the air, gave her massive head trauma and broke a bunch of bones. Her leg was all busted up, and she still suffers from that accident emotionally and physically. Accidents happen in all towns at all times, but there's always at least one person that gets murdered or gets killed from a biker being stupid. They run through neighborhoods. They go up into neighborhoods and drive their motorcycles through neighborhoods at like 3 in the morning and wake everybody up and have wrecks. And like the last place I lived, place before last, I came roaring up through there late one night. It was a narrow road way on the top of the hill. The road was not even, what do they call it? There was no through traffic. It was just for the residents up there. It was a horseshoe shape, and it exited back onto the same road that it started on. And middle of the night, I come racing up there, go off in the frickin' ditch, and then starts all the yelling and the revving the engine and trying to pull the motorbike out. Neighbors come outside because they've been awakened by this bullshit. Every year, and our roads are packed. It's hard to get around to do basic stuff. And people driving stupid and I live right, like I'm looking at it right now, I live right by a convenience store. And night and day, motorcycles, loud fucking motorcycles, coming in there, revving, and people yelling, and unfortunately, it's not just a weekend anymore. It used to just be a kind of a 3-day weekend thing. Now it is pretty much week-long. Like, they're already here. They've been here for days. Many people have, anyway. It's not as bad as it's going to be over the weekend. The only upside is that I do know somebody from OkCupid. We're not a romantic match. Says I, anyhow. But I've known him on there a few years. And he's going to be here for the bike rally. And I look forward to getting to maybe spend a little time with him. At least get a hug or something. But I'm pretty much just trying to stay home. Like my other local friends, like I'm staying inside. I don't want to even get on the roads. And I think, certainly, hopefully, a majority of the bikers that come here are being conscientious and careful and everything, but there's a big chunk of them that think that this is just like their personal toilet or something. I mean, literally, there is a problem because they will just piss. They just stop just piss in a parking lot with people around because they're drunk. Everybody's drunk. Oh, I hate it. So I guess that's my gripe for the day. What else? Well, the little lamb. Remember when I had the little lamb? She had a little lamb, and I was pretty much the rescue on that one. I was going to say I was part of the rescue, but I was pretty much the rescue. Volunteered to sit up with it all night, every night, keeping it warm and trying to force a little bit of milk in it and telling it was going to live. And I knew it was anyway. It just had the greatest personality. Something with that good of a personality can't die. Not when it's a baby, anyhow. So it lived, and I took care of it for its first 5 days and nights of its life, and then a vet tech in one of the little small towns near my mom's house, adopted it. She loved it and adopted it, and it lived there at the office for quite a while, and everybody was nuts about it, wanted to pet it, look at it, and hold it and stuff. It was a third of the size of its twin. It was very, very dwarfed or midgeted, probably midgeted, because it wasn't disproportionate. It was just tiny, and it was weak. It couldn't get up, and we thought it would always be tiny. But my mom's boyfriend went to go visit little Lambert recently and said that he's big, like a regular size sheep now. So he must have taken some great growth spurt at some point. And he has horns now. I know that when he went to live with the people, that they cordoned off part of their house that did not have carpeting, and that was where he lived. And he would sleep in a crate by their bed at night. And he made friends with the cat. And they were great friends until little Lambert grew horns and decided that he wanted to headbutt the cat. And the cat told him to go to hell. And I don't know if they still, I don't know if they're going to, do they get rid of the horns on sheep? Surely not. That would be kind of drastic. But so he lives, I think, mostly outside now, and just kind of has run of the place. I don't think they have him cordoned off. They don't have him on a rope. He just has his territory. And Les kept calling him a little shit. A little shit. Just grown up just to be a little shit. Like, why? What do you say? I just spoiled a little shit. What are you talking about, Les? Well, he got his horns and hooked them around the back of my leg, tried to pull me over. So obviously he's still very spunky and has quite a large personality. It made me happy. I hope to get to go see him myself someday soon, or at least see some photos of him. It's not like he'll remember me, but it would be very satisfying, gratifying to see the little lamb that was supposed to die, that was left in the mud and the poop of a little barn. Mother and older sibling walked off, and it was up to him to get up and follow, and he couldn't, so nature dictated that he was supposed to lie there and die. And his owner happened to find him, and Les said, "I'll take him. I've always wanted a lamb," but then almost killed him immediately by bathing him and then leaving him in front of an air conditioner to dry. So, yeah, it was a great experience. It was so wonderful. I knew when it was happening that it was a very, very special experience, and that I should try to remember and absorb every little part of it that I possibly could, from the way where his horns were going to grow in. It's like this weird little spiral of fur. I didn't know their horns were made out of hair. I had no idea. But it just starts with little spirals here, and as the fur grows, it kind of just, dreadlocks, I don't know, it bunches together as it grows, and then before you know it, they've got these big, crazy horns. To how his breath smelled, to how his eyelashes looked, and just everything. It was like one of the most wonderful experiences. I did not grow up a country girl. I was definitely a city girl, but I was always very enamored with animals. And I had, cats and dogs and ducks, and let's see, did not have a goat at that point in the city. We had a big backyard. We had a coop that had doves in it for a while, and it had some rabbits that my dad, who could be very cruel to animals and mean about them sometimes, but then once in a while he'd do something like when he worked at the medical center in Houston. He was a locksmith, and the locksmith shop was down in the basement with the morgue and with some of the rooms where they did testing on animals. And he seemed pretty shook up by the stuff he saw happening to the animals, far more so than the dead bodies lying on gurneys out in the hallway. And once in a while they'd be about to take a rabbit and plow its head into the corner of the lab table, because that's how they put them down. Bam! And big, beautiful white rabbits. And Dad saw it about to happen one day. He couldn't stand it. He just couldn't take it. And he ran in there and said, "Are they diseased? Is there anything wrong with them?" Like, no. It's just, they're part of the study thing. Whatever's over. And Dad said, "No, I'll take them." And he went and found a big cardboard box somewhere and put these rabbits in a cardboard box and put the lid down and drove them all the way home from downtown Houston to our little house in Pasadena. And we already had a coop from when we had doves. It was big. And he put them in there. They weren't real happy, and they didn't like to be touched or handled, and they weren't very good pets, really. But he did save their lives. I don't remember what happened to them. It's probably best that I don't remember what happened to them. But so even when we lived in the city, well, no city, it was a little suburb in a big town next to a city, which also had suburbs, and a little bit of countryside. Houston is not all big city. But even at that, I always had animals, and then we moved to the country, and I had considerably less, but I did get to have a goat for a while, and I loved her very much. And there are animals around. I got very personal with a donkey. Y'all remember Seth. Did I tell you he died? Maybe I didn't tell you he died. It was last year. He was 10 years old, and donkeys tend to live to be about 20, so he was, he was young. He was still young, and his owner had taken him and had to tie him up somewhere. I forget what was going on. He'd change him from field to field anyway, but he needed to tie him up on a fence somewhere. And it's not like he was way off by himself. He could see people and stuff, but he wanted to be able to be free and go see people. And he was upset and hee-hawing and fussing and carrying on. And then later the guy came out, and Seth was just dead. He was just on the ground dead. Like nobody knows what happened to him. It was very weird, and I still miss him. I go out there, and sometimes I'll be in the backyard. I was in the backyard the other day, literally rolling. I found a small little incline, depends on which way you're going, a little decline in the yard, and I love lying out in my mom's yard anyway. The grass is kept really nice. It's like velvet, and all the cats are around, and there's sheep, and there's animals. The sound of guinea hens and whatever. I just lay out there, just feel Gaia or whatever, the earth energy, and I feel very free there. I just started rolling. I rolled down the hill, got to the bottom, petted a cat for a little while, and heard a donkey, somebody else's donkey, I don't know, maybe a mile away, hee-hawing, and I almost started crying. It made me miss Seth so much. It didn't sound like Seth. Seth had his own voice, but it was still, it made me feel sad. That's the bad thing about being an animal lover, unless you're going to get, like a parrot or a turtle, a tortoise or something that's going to live at least as long as you are. We got to put up with this constant, falling in love and then having the loss. And that's the sucky thing. I look at sorry, Callie. I woke Callie up, petting her. Sometimes I look at my cats, I'm like, they're 10 years old. They definitely have this limited amount of time on them. I get all teary. I'm like, no, but they're alive. I still have them. They're still making messes and being funny and being precious and stuff. Animals. Okay, that was a ramble, and I didn't know where it was going, and I didn't think I had anything to say, but I guess I always have something to say. So, bye, everybody.